All right, last but certainly not least, Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I first went Douglas Luiz. And
Really? Is that source or
no,
Will?
that's not source. That's based off of last year. We were really close on deadline day. We wouldn't pay an extra £5 million.
Yeah.
I don't think Aston Villa will sell.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're
but
sellers at all.
I do think Arsenal will make a push for him regardless.
I think the fact that there could be 5 Champions League spots from the Premier League this year with the new makeup of the Champions League.
But it wouldn't go to who comes in 5th.
It doesn't?
Doesn't it go to like UEFA coefficient? I think Manchester United could come in 7th and make the Champions League.
So I always saw people saying like United or Arsenal could finish in 5th and get in. And I thought they were saying if the Prem qualified as that 5th spot. No. I thought it was just locked in who got the 5th spot.
I think it's based off UEFA coefficient.
Oh, so Villa would need
God knows how they
nonetheless, I mean, that ruins my point a tad. But I think they think they can get in the top 4.
By the way, there were huge Douglas Reese rumors 3 weeks ago. And over the last 3 weeks, they've completely died because Villa probably won't be sellers.
Right.
But basically, my point is I do think we'll bring in another midfielder because, and I'm just going to go right to my second point because it's related, is I think Thomas Partey is leaving. I think
it's time.
We should have sold in the summer.
Yeah.
Not only is there bad stuff around him, and we don't need to speak to that because it's not clear exactly what happened, but
we're not the FBI.
No, I mean, listen, I don't want to have to root for him. I haven't wanted to for a while. But he also can't be relied on. He's been injured. He was injured for 4 matches in his first 8 years with Atletico Madrid. Then he came to Arsenal, and he hasn't been healthy at all. You just can't. We do need another midfielder so that Declan Rice isn't playing 90 minutes twice a week the rest of the season. And we also can't rely that Thomas Partey is him. Sell him to the Saudis. The Saudis came in from him in the summer.
100%.
Get 20 million euros.
Use that Thomas Partey to Saudi makes a ton of sense.
Ton of sense in a lot of ways. And bring in a midfielder, whether that's a Douglas Luiz. I don't think it will be Douglas Luiz, but a similar player who can play 6 but is more of a physical 8. The same way that, like, right now what we like to do in some of the cagier matches, and I think you'll see this out a few times this year, like Liverpool City, is like you play Jorginho as the 6 and Rice as the left 8.
Yep.
So getting another player in that gives us the option to not have Jorginho be one of those two is what I think is coming.
Yeah. I think, and then I like that. I went striker because, as we've talked about, I don't think the front 3s. So I went Ivan Toney to Arsenal. I think Brentford's strategy of not selling him is they had the suspension, so people were going to look for a discount. So then you hold him through the suspension into January where Arsenal needs him. You get the premium price for Toney. And I was saying this previously, Brentford are in that category where they're bang in the
mid-table. Like Thomas Frank wasn't worried about getting relegated, so they didn't need those funds in the summer.
So they are bang in the mid-table, but they're not in the European spot conversation just yet. There's like tiers, and they are in that 9 to 13 range for me. So you can the price tag for Toney off the suspension in January to an Arsenal would be insane. Obviously, you don't think it's going to happen. It probably won't happen. But I think similar to what we talked about with Rice is it was a lot of money, but it was the exact move that you needed. And people are going to tell me Toney doesn't fit into the Arteta system. But originally people said Pep plays without that true striker, and then you had Haaland and you see what he is. Not that Toney is Haaland, but I'm saying the system can be tweaked to fit a better number 9. And in a season where you look at it in January and Arsenal can go and win this league, not signing a true number 9 would feel like a miss to me. And then combining that, and I know you want to comment, is getting Eddie Nketiah out. So I think if you bring in a striker, he's got to go because Jesus is a fantastic backup to have. I think he could even go out on the left wing at times instead of Martinelli. I think Nketiah has played well enough this season that you can get actually a good price from either a lower half Premier League team or he goes abroad.
Yeah, I mean, I think if a striker comes in January, Nketiah will leave because it'd be best for everybody.
Yeah, those were my 1 and 2.
I really don't think we bring a striker in January. It's just not the way Arsenal does things.
I know. But I think sometimes you stray from what you do. You have a chance to go win a title this year. Sure. You could splash. How much do you think Toney would cost in January?
60 million.
Oh, I think it would be more.
Yeah, the issue is I don't see Arsenal spending more than 60 million or 60 million on a player who hasn't played in 6 months.
Because
Right, like,
it's
you're
also
asking-
like you want him to come and start day one.
That's the
Has
issue.
he not been training and
You
but
can't
you can't
match
replicate it.
fitness.
I agree with
He's
that.
never played in the Champions League. I just don't think that answer is actually, it's much prettier on paper than it is in real life.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I think it's interesting that we had the Tony Osimhen thing flipped. I find that very interesting.
All right, my last one is, and we absolutely have to bring in a defender of some type, but this is a player we've been linked with a lot and one that I love, and he played fantastically against us in the Europa League last year for Sporting, and that's Ousmane Diomande, an incredible center back. He can play as a center back, he can play as a right center back, a left center back, he can even invert as a right back. He is one of the most athletic, one of the strongest, and one of the biggest center back prospects in the world. If Arsenal were to get him, I would consider us to have two of the best 5 under 23-year-old center backs in the world. I think he is that good, worth every penny, whatever they charge to. I think it would be about 50 million to 60 million euros. But Ousmane Diomande, remember the name. Wherever he goes, he will be an absolute star.
Where is he from?
He plays for Sporting.
They have
him and Ignacio.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why they beat us in the Europa League.
Yeah.
The two of them were really good against us.
Yeah, my
And then
final
Ugarte was on that side too.
was Danny Olmo. So he has fell out of
Another
favor.
positionless player.
He's fell out of favor a little. And I know you say Havertz has been playing better, but I think it's one or the other. You replace Havertz with a better player, and that could be the move that wins you the title, or you replace Jesus with a better player, and that could be the move that I think he could play that Havertz role better than Havertz does, because I actually think he has a relatively high work rate, so when he needs to defend, he could. And I'm a huge fan of Danny Olmo. I think he played really well at the World Cup
Yeah, he was great.
for Spain. And I think, so those were my two things, is like Arsenal have a clear chance to win the title. The two worst spots are striker, well, left wing, but that's not being... The two most needed spots to go win a title is either replace that Havertz role or replace that Jesus role. So my other one was Danny Olmo. I think he could be the difference and elevate the attacking problems that Arsenal have. He could be a big fix for it.
Yeah. With Fabio Vieira and Emile Smith-Rowe, I don't see us bringing another attacking midfielder in.
Yeah.
I do think it's inevitable that one of them is gone in the summer.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens from there. But understandable that you're not a Havertz fan. I think he's going to change a lot of people's minds. I think he's already changed a lot of Arsenal fans' minds. And obviously people are saying, like, Arsenal fans set the bar so low. I think when we get to roll around to March, people are going to realize the impact he's having on this team.
Fair enough. One of the things that I'm actually a Havertz fan because I thought he was really good originally when he first came into Chelsea. So if that ends up working out, it would be bad for us, but I'd be excited to see a good player get to his best.
Me as well. I loved him at Leverkusen, so I was so excited
that's
to
what I
get
mean.
him at Arsenal even 5 years later.